Well, hey everybody. Welcome to the update preview stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Miss D. Say hi, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi guys.
So, what do we got going on today? Well, we are 2 weeks from the big update, the October World Update. And we're over here on the Aux 2 branch showing off what is going on in development this week. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to do at Misty underscore that's me in chat, and we'll get to as many questions as we have the opportunity to. Real quick, also, if you're wondering what's going on with server wipes today, when is WIP? Well, it is the weekly and bi weekly Thursday wipe servers wiping for Rustafied, and they are wiping at the regularly scheduled time, which is 3 p.m. local time for the region. That means EU wiped 3 hours ago. AU and SEA wiped like 11, 12 hours ago because they live in the future. And the US servers wipe in 2 hours. Ooh, did we just switch back to.
Yeah, we did. We had a full crash there. Apologies.
Ooh, let me know when we're back up.
We're still live.
Oh,
We
we're
just
still live.
yeah
Okay.
just stopped the
Just had
game.
a just had a little crashy poo there. Well, we are on Aux 2 and crashy poos can happen on Aux 2 because it is a work in progress, but we'll be back into the game shortly. Anyway, in the meantime, yeah, the US servers wipe at 3 p.m. Eastern, so 2 hours from now. And again, it's your weekly and bi weekly Thursday wipe servers. So that's your mains, your mediums, your trios, your minis, your smalls, and the like. These are map wipe only because we are mid month and blueprints for the servers that do wipe blueprints only wipe when the forced wipe occurs. And as I mentioned, the force wipe is 2 weeks from today, October 3rd. And boy, is this looking like it's going to be the biggest update to hit Rust all year, for sure. And the biggest change to procedural map generation we've seen in literally years. It's really shaping up to be an awesome, huge update. So definitely hyped for this October update. Also happening a little while after the update, we've got Charitable Rust in less than a month. October 12th is going to be our yearly charity event. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday. But Saturday, it's going to be a live stream, 11 a.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern, on a special Charitable Rust server. This year, we're raising funds for Direct Relief, which is an amazing organization which helps and brings aid to people in conflict zones around the world. And given the various conflicts happening around the world, it seemed like a good cause to support. We've supported them several years back, and they're a great organization, and really proud and happy to be supporting them again. But definitely mark your calendars. We're going to have a trailer going out later this week for the event, but mark your calendars October 12th. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a weekend wipe 2x vanilla server, accelerated gameplay on a special custom map, AntiCHE, and we're going to have races and talent shows and art contests and arcade games and various other fun stuff, a labyrinth and escape rooms and a bunch of awesome things that are totally custom to the event. You can only play there and all raising funds for a great cause. We're also going to have a bunch of cool skins on the item store and Twitch drops. And the item store skins, the proceeds of that are going to go towards this amazing cause as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. Also, if you want a preview of what the map is going to be, then we're actually on our mini servers next week going to be running 1 week wipe on the AntiCHE map. And so you can kind of get a preview of what that map is going to be and have kind of a change of pace on the mini servers. And again, that's next week's wipe. Now, let's get into it. We've got a new weapon actually hit the Aux 2 branch just earlier this week. And this is one we've seen in commits for a while now. It's the high caliber revolver. And originally we were thinking this might be a skin for the Frontier DLC that's also coming out, it looks like, in October. But it turns out this high caliber revolver is a new standalone gun. Now, it is still a work in progress. At the moment, It is a 6-shooter using pistol bullets, and the stats are basically the same as the Python, except the fire rate is slower. So I don't think it's going to stay that way. I think a couple things are going to change. I think the stats are going to be rebalanced. And I think it might end up using rifle ammo, 5.56, because if you think about it, a high caliber revolver, well, it should have a higher caliber than every other pistol, right? And if you look at the concept art for it, that also the design of this, like Pilgrim did an amazing job on this design. The welding, the details of it are really cool looking. And if you look at the concept art that he posted, it is sitting around 5.56 ammo. So I think what they did, and we've seen this in the past with new weapons in the game, they kind of, instead of starting reinventing the wheel, so to speak, what they do is they copy a similar gun over and then start modifying that weapon. And so what we've seen is it looks like they copied the Python as is, and then they're going to be modifying it more. Nothing's confirmed yet, but I do get the sense that the stats are going to change because as it stands right now, having a high caliber revolver that it's a tier 2 workbench item and having it be basically the same as the Python but just a slower fire rate really doesn't make a ton of sense. So it's all to say, I think in the next week we are going to see some modifications to this. I wouldn't be shocked at all if it ends up using rifle ammo, but we'll have to keep you posted on that because, again, nothing is confirmed. Nevertheless, it does look like this is going live with the update 2 weeks from today on October 3rd and the forced wipe. And along with that, I think there might be a skin for this also, like a Frontier based skin also going live with the Frontier DLC. Now, the Frontier DLC is also a really cool DLC coming out. We've got on Ox 2 already, the Frontier Hazmat is in play. And Misty, that's what you're wearing, right? Or no,
Yeah,
can you put it on? I should
yeah, I
say.
can do that.
Yeah, I glanced at it. I'm like, wait, no, that's not it. But yeah, let's show that Frontier Hazmat off. And it looks like also potentially coming with this is a Frontier Hatchet, maybe a Frontier Pick, and even potentially some high wall skins that have a very Frontier vibe. So it looks like that Frontier DLC is going to be a really cool new DLC coming in. I love the look of the Frontier Hazmat suit. It's got like some animal skins hanging off of it, and it's got a really great look. And yeah, I think they did just a great job overall on the art assets of this DLC. But yeah, with the high caliber revolver, right now it is kind of just a copy of the Python with a slower fire rate. And again, I do think that is going to change. Now, some other interesting things we're seeing in commits this week is the first real signs of siege weapons. Specifically, a catapult is being worked on. And so, no visuals on this yet. I don't think it's coming for October, but it is really interesting to see the idea of siege weapons coming in the game, like literally just lobbing objects at your adversary's bases is definitely going to be an interesting new dynamic to the game. There's not really any details on it other than we know a catapult is being worked on, and we can imagine that's going to be flinging big rocks or something like that at bases to kind of have a lower tier, more medieval style raiding tactic added to the game. So that's definitely an interesting one that we're keeping a close eye on. Also, another interesting thing coming with the world update, the October update, is radioactive items. And we saw kind of a rework to this. So in previous weeks, we've seen them working on radioactive water. And the idea with radioactive water is it can be found in certain places, mainly the new monument, the Toxic Village, aka the Legacy Rad Town that was being worked on. That's another thing. That's the new monument coming with the world update stuff. And with that, there's some places in the Toxic Village where it has kind of this greenish water. and that is the radioactive water. And then this week, we saw a restructure to that where, according to the commits, it said any item can now be radioactive. Now, does that mean that we'll have radioactive AKs running around or anything like that? I'm not sure. I don't necessarily think so. But what we do know about the radioactive water so far is it can be used to contaminate other water sources. So if you have radioactive water in a container, then you can actually put that water in a water catcher or a larger water jug or something like that. And if it's added to fresh water or salt water, then it will contaminate all that water with radioactive water. If you drink radioactive water, you get rad poisoning. That makes sense. If you get splashed with radioactive water, you also get rad poisoning. So, kind of a new use to those water guns in the game and things like that for sure. And then the other thing that looks like is the case with the radioactive water is that it will kill plants. So if you have, say, a water gun or a water bottle that has radioactive water in it, then you pour it on some planters, it will kill those planters. So that's an interesting thing. And with the rework in the commits literally stating that any item can now be radioactive, it definitely leaves some possibilities open for, poisoning people, poisoning water sources, and, you know, really messing up players' farms in a new way. So that's an interesting new dynamic that does look like, although it's still a work in progress and not necessarily working as it will be when it goes live, it does look like it will be going live with the October 3rd update 2 weeks from today. Now, also, there's other new weapons in the works. There is a blowpipe that we have seen. I think starting last month, we saw the initial work on the blowpipe start, and we're seeing some more development, some more commits around that blowpipe happen this week. If you're not familiar, basically this looks like it's going to be a low tier kind of stealthy weapon, which uses bone darts by default. So a new use for bones, which will be cool. And then what's interesting is it looks like they're also going to have several forms of poison darts. We already had heard in previous weeks about darts that incapacitate vision and also slow player movement. But then on top of that, it looks like there's going to be some radioactive darts as well that are going to be added in. We're just seeing the initial commits this week around radioactive darts. So yeah, that's definitely going to be an interesting one. All that work is still on a separate branch, so no visuals yet and no real details on cost or range or anything like that. But it does look like it's going to be, you would imagine it's going to be pretty quiet because blow darts are pretty quiet. So probably a stealthy, more early game weapon where you can hide in a bush or something and then maybe blow a dart on someone, have them to lose their vision temporarily or not be able to move as quick, or just irradiate the fuck out of them. So definitely an interesting new weapon in the works. This is another one that, given where we're at in the development cycle for the month, I don't think is going to be going live with October, but maybe in November or towards the end of the year, we will see the blowpipe go live. And as always with all this stuff, as we see this stuff get added into staging, we'll give you a full rundown and details on it as they come to light. And what we've been doing also, make sure to follow us on X and on the socials, Rustafied on X, because we're trying to do shorts and little tweets as soon as this stuff hits staging so that you can know about the new items as soon as they are available on staging. And that leads me into just the world update progress that's going on. Of course, the pinnacle and the highlight of the October update is this world update. And this world update, if you're not familiar, has a whole slew of new changes to the map. In fact, it really represents the biggest changes we've seen to procedural map generation across the board. There are big rivers that have been added to the map. There's like 3 big rivers that start generally in higher altitude places and they're a little skinnier. And then as they get closer to the water's edge and the edge of the island, then they get a lot wider And they also have a current on them, so you can take a kayak or boogie board down them and zoom at a pretty good click. And you can see these bigger rivers kind of snaking through the map. And yeah, it's definitely a big improvement and new addition to the landscape of Rust. On top of that, with the world update, there's oases. There were originally three, but this week they have dropped it from three to two oases. Those are, of course, going to be in the desert biomes, and they're a source of fresh water and trees and stuff like that. So there's a couple of those. There's also three canyons being added. It looks like there's normally only two canyons per map, but there are three variants to the canyon, a canyon A, B, and C. And those are what you would think a canyon would be, which is kind of a large ingress into the topology and a good source of stones. You can build in them as well. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing some canyon bases come about. I don't know how tactically advantageous that's going to be. You, I mean, you. It looks like you could build so that there's less points of ingress on your base, but then also you're going to have a disadvantage from the standpoint of the high ground is all around you. So it might not be as ideal to build down there, but I'm definitely interested to see how people build in these new canyons. And they definitely look awesome. They're pretty vast. Some are bigger than the others, but again, they're a good source of, it looks like stone and ore and all that stuff, and they look great. There's some trees down there, and also they feature the new cliffs, which is another big addition with the update coming. All the cliffs for procedural map generation have been redone. They've been reimagined. They've got a lot more detail to them, a lot more texture, a lot more kind of contrast and dynamicism to them as well. And there's some good new opportunities for jumping up them and everything like that. On top of that, there's also lakes coming. There's A and a B lake, I believe. Is there also C? I think there's a C too. Yeah, it looks like there's
Yeah.
three variants of lakes, and there's two or three spawning per map. And as you would imagine with the lakes, they're another source of fresh water. It looks like they're spawning mostly in the forest biome. By the way, the canyons are spawning in the forest and desert biome, depending on the map seed, and the lakes are a good source of fresh water, fish, and driftwood, and all that stuff. On top of that, there's, as I mentioned before, the new monument, the Toxic Village, aka the Legacy Rad Town. And this is a cool new kind of tier 2 monument with some loot boxes and little treats, but no puzzles or anything like that. We're not seeing any scientist NPCs there quite yet. I don't know if there will be some added, but at the moment there's not. There is some radiation, especially when you go in the buildings, and it's also the source of radiated water, as I mentioned before, which is the new water that can poison other sources of water. There's a recycler there, which is nice. And yeah, really, the devs have done a great job on this new Rad Town. It bifurcated by a road. It's got a number of buildings and outbuildings and garages and some good places to hide, some good PvP opportunities. And yeah, it's just going to be a cool new monument coming into the game with all this stuff. There's also new dive sites, updated dive sites and buoys. So if you see a buoy out in the water, they're not marked on the map, but then that signifies a dive site where you can go down and untie some loot, bring the loot back up. It looks like sharks are going to be spawning around these dive sites, so there will be some PvE elements to it, but some good loot opportunities out there. There's also the legacy wood piles coming in, and that's going to be a throwback to the wood piles of legacy. And at the moment, they're still providing, if you go at it with a normal metal hatchet, they're still providing 1,000 wood in a couple of hits. So it looks like a really good source of wood. Along with that, speaking of wood, they have increased the yield of driftwood piles now. So the driftwood is going to be more advantageous to harvest, and maybe people will actually, gather from driftwood now again. There's also water wells coming in this update. Those aren't marked on the map. It's an updated water well, of course. with a new NPC shopkeeper with some, goodies there. There's a food cache there and even some planters there. So you can really use these water wells to, of course, get water, get some good farming supplies from the NPC, get some food, and some fresh plants. And also, as I mentioned, the Frontier Hazmat skin and the Frontier Hazmat DLC does look like it's going live with the update next week or in 2 weeks from now in October. And so, yeah, really, when you go through it, there is a huge amount coming in this October update. Again, I think it's the biggest update of the year by far and the biggest change to procedural map generation we've seen literally in years. So I love what the devs are doing and really stoked to see this October update go live. On top of that, there's a couple other things. There's even another weapon in the works, a tier 1 SMG. And this is similar to the blowpipe. We don't really have any visuals or details yet on this. We just saw the first commits on the new branch for the tier 1 SMG appear last week. And so don't think it's going live with the October update for sure, but it does look like there's a new low tier SMG coming in. And as with all this stuff, we'll give you details as they come to light. There's also a bunch of other stuff in the works. There's some changes to allow blueprints to be learned directly from a backpack, which is cool. They are also now preventing building around the Chinook hackable locked crate, and it uses the same radius as the patrol helicopter crates for that. There's some more work on the jungle ruins, which is, of course, that new monument that might even come with its own new biome, a jungle biome. And it's going to have, it looks like some new types of animals worked into it, maybe a crocodile, maybe a tiger, and even some snakes. So that's a cool one. I don't think that's going to be coming this year, though, just given these monuments are bespoke and built from scratch and generally take a long time to build. And especially if we're talking about a whole new biome type, it definitely could be another several months in the works. But as soon as we get some visuals or more details, we'll be sure to give them to you. There's also been some more work this week on shields and the addition of an improvised shield. So maybe like a lower tier shield. It looks like there might be a couple types of shields that get added. This, based on the commits, is going to be something that, of course, is a defensive object. It will allow you to hold the shield in one arm, and then you'll be able to wield certain weapons in the other arm, including it looks like pistols and like swords. You won't be able to throw swords, but you'll be able to whack people and then block. And the shield will kind of take damage as durability loss, basically. And then when the shield breaks, it just disappears. And when it's not equipped, it looks like it'll be on your back and will protect your backside when you're running around. So that's going to be definitely an interesting addition to the game. Another one that I don't think is going to come for the October update, but we'll keep you posted. There's also some more work on the Wolf AI, which is a huge change to the AI, and I think representative and part of a larger body of work where they're going to be doing over time, I think, redoing, I should say, the animal AI in general. And they're starting with wolves. And we're seeing a bunch of interesting things with that, including wolves will react to campfires and torches. They'll roam and spawn in packs more often. And they'll actually attack players and groups in packs. If you catch one wolf by itself, it will kind of retreat and howl and call other wolves nearby to them and then come back and attack as a pack. They also are able now to jump up on foundations and attack players and various other things. They're eating different animal meat that they find on the ground, and really an advancement to the AI with how wolf behavior is progressing. And we saw that get merged into the normal aux branch just earlier today. So it looks like potentially we could be seeing that come in the near future. I doubt October because man, it's a lot of changes. And given if they merge it into aux 2, I'd say yeah, it's probably coming in for the October branch, but I think aux 2 right now is representative of just what's coming into the October update, and it was merged into the normal aux branch. So that tells me it probably won't come in until November at the earliest, but we'll keep you posted. And they've done this week some improvements to elevator travel and basically just the parenting stuff that happens with elevator travel. So that's just a smoother endeavor in general. They've also fixed a bunch of bugs where like lockers didn't have durability, and they fixed paddling on above ground pools showing power usage, and they fixed rain getting players wet when they're inside train tunnels, and fixed a bug where the traveling vendor would sometimes only refill one item at a time rather than refreshing the whole stock, and fixed a bug where admins in God mode would take one bleed damage on fall, and a couple other different things like fixing foundations not being placeable when in the middle uh, it was clipping into terrain or rocks. So it looks like foundations should be a little more easily placed, especially when you're dealing with rocks in the terrain and stuff like that. And also fixed not being able to spray decals on half walls, low walls, doorways, and windows when using the shipping container skin. So yeah, as with usual, just a bunch of different miscellaneous fixes that we're seeing, which are all looking like they're coming in with the October update 2 weeks from today as well. And that about does it for what we've got going on in Rust development this week. It's definitely shaping up for a huge October update. And again, also coming in October is our yearly charity event, Charitable Rust, October 12th. Mark your calendars. It's going to be an awesome event. Everyone can join the server. The event servers are going to be a 2x vanilla gameplay for a weekend wipe that will also have the opportunity for a whole bunch of prizes and games. There's races, parkour, art contests, talent shows, labyrinths, escape rooms, arcades, all this cool stuff, all raising funds for a great cause. And definitely make sure to check out the Twitch drops during that time. It looks like the Twitch drops are going to go live October 12th as well. And we're going to have special items in the item store for skins that are all available on the item store for the week, the proceeds of which all go towards this amazing cause. Again, raising funds for Direct Relief, which is an amazing organization which brings aid to those impacted in conflict zones around the world. And yeah, that's what we got going on. Miss D, do we have any questions from the audience we want to cover?
Yes, we do, but I also have one. Is there a sneak peek for the winners for the skin contest?
Not quite yet. We're still working with Facepunch to finalize that. We do expect to have that sneak peek in the next week or two. And I'm thinking probably for the October update post, we'll likely have a sneak peek of the skins that are going to be available both on the item store and for Twitch drops to kind of raise some hype. And again, we also have a trailer which shows off some of the map features and everything like that. We've got a custom hub with a bunch of gambling zones and places to gather and have fun. Yeah, it's they really did an amazing job on the map this year, and I'm super stoked with all the cool events that we have for that. So more details coming in the next week or two on that.
Mm, Is the new Revi coming in this update?
It looks like that, given the high caliber revolver was merged into Aux 2. That is where we're seeing most of the items that are coming for the October update being merged into. So, given it's on Aux 2, it does give me a high level of confidence that we're going to see it come in for the October update. Again, nothing's confirmed from Facepunch either way yet. And but I would give it a 90 to 95% chance, if I had to guess, that the high caliber revolver will be with the October update. And again, I think the stats are going to change between now and when the update goes live, because at the moment, as I mentioned, it's a Python, but with just lower fire rate. So I think that's going to change. And a high caliber revolver would make sense that it would have a higher caliber ammunition, right? Call me crazy, but and on the concept art and everything like that, it shows it with 5.56 ammo. So my hunch is that we're going to see a shift to the revolver in the next couple days, go to the aux 2 branch on staging that will change the ammo and change the normal statistics of it.
Do you think we'll be able to launch the radioactive item with the catapult?
That's a good question. I'm really curious how they're going to do the radioactive items because previously it was just water being contaminated, and if you get splashed with radioactive water you get rad poisoning. If you drink it you get rad poisoning. If you spray it on plants you get rad poisoning. But with the rework commit earlier this week where they said it's a big restructure to radioactive items and any item can now be radioactive, that really opens up the possibility for a lot more stuff. Like, I don't know if you would toss an item on the ground and spray it with radioactive water and then it's irradiated for a little while. And if a player picks it up, they get rad poisoning unless they have, proper protection. Could definitely be an interesting thing. Like if you're running around with hazmat suits and you irradiate your weapon so that it's not impacting you, but then if you get killed and someone tries to grab your weapon, they get rad poisoning. I mean, that would definitely be an interesting dynamic to the game. But keep in mind, nothing is confirmed with this yet. We're just working off of commits, and at the moment, it's not happening. Like I tried throwing my rock in the radioactive water and picking it up, and it didn't have rad poisoning or anything associated with it. So we're not really seeing that stuff yet, and it might not be implemented that way. But we're definitely keeping a close eye on that radioactive water and radioactive items body of work.
Did you notice any FPS changes after New World?
No, I haven't really noticed any FPS changes. It's running smooth on my computers. My computers don't really struggle to run the game though. That is a side note. I'm not running anything really outdated where it's struggling too much. But I haven't on the world update branch on the aux2 branch running around the map noticed any particular changes higher or lower to FPS. I don't know. Artemis, Misty, are you guys seeing any changes or differences?
No, I think it's pretty smooth for me as well.
Yeah, same, not at all. Haven't really got a bottleneck, but no, doesn't seem to be changed.
Yeah, so I think optimization was definitely a priority when they're working on this. And although there's a lot of different things going on the map, I don't think it's having a negative impact on client performance based on what we're seeing.
Mm. How much buildable space do we lose at 3.5 to 4K with all this is also a concern.
Yeah, I understand the concern, and there is definitely some build space that's going to be lost given the addition of lakes and oases in particular. They did just drop the oasis count from 3 to 2, which will provide a little more building space in the desert. But and the canyons can be built in, but the rivers, the lakes, and the oases, they definitely will take up a bit more space than we previously had. And oh, and I forgot to mention, along with the cliffs, there's the God rocks and anvil rocks that are coming back apparently too. So that's a community favorite making a comeback. But yeah, as far as build space is concerned, there definitely may be a little less build space. And at Rustafied, what we're going to do is monitor it for October. We're already looking at. We just ran a poll on upping the map size for our EU Medium 3 server, and if anything, what we'll do is if build space is really cramped for whatever reason, given these new additions, we definitely will consider upping the map size of our maps across the board to kind of account for that.
Let me see here. What's going on with the Halloween things? Did they give us any update what's coming?
We've seen a little bit of work on the Halloween stuff. There definitely is going to be in mid October a Halloween Rust event, as we have seen for it's got to be like 5, 6 years now. Uh, Based on the commits, what we're seeing, it looks like there's going to be a mummy mask and a Frankenstein mask. There's probably going to be a couple other item store skins that are exclusive to the Halloween event, along with the normal Halloween stuff like the trick or treat event and the mummies slash scarecrows roaming around the map. So yeah, Halloween is definitely coming. As far as the specific special items coming for Halloween, that kind of remains to be seen. We've just seen a couple commits on it, but no visuals or anything merged into staging yet to identify the new items specifically.
Someone said bring back normal service.
Yeah, unfortunately, the custom map making scene right now is not in the best place. I hope it does improve in the near future. We did see, as part of the last hack week, Facepunch working on an FP Rust edit, which is, from what I've gathered through conversations with map makers, one of the downsides of the map making process right now is Rust edit is a little out of date and not in an ideal state. So, but Facepunch really did kind of stop supporting Happus and Savus and these custom static maps that they made just because they really wanted to focus on procedural map generation. Nevertheless, I do hope that we see a positive shift when it comes to custom map making because I really think for the longevity of the game and for the interest of community builds and everything like that, there's huge potential that is yet to be tapped when it comes to custom map making. And I'd love to see that really accelerate forward and progress over the coming years. But really, this year did kind of stall a bit. And what we were doing, we had our ZenLab servers, but they weren't able to reliably run the custom maps. It required a lot of manual intervention from our systems team throughout the wipe, and it wasn't providing a reliable, stable wipe experience, play experience for our players. So we decided to temporarily get rid of the custom maps just because it wasn't providing the experience we wanted for our players. And so that's why we did rebrand our ZenLab servers to Mini. And right now they're running just very small procedurally generated maps. But again, we are running AntiCHE, the map, which is the base map for the Charitable Rust event this year. We're going to be running those next week for a week on our EU and US mini servers. And as things progress over time, I would love to be able to bring back the Savas maps. It's going to, of course, rely on the community to create and update the Savas maps and various other custom maps. I think, again, custom maps have huge potential that has not been tapped quite yet. And I'd love to see that improve over time.
How's the progress with the new stats system on the Rustafied servers?
It is coming along awesome. We've got a lot of the views complete. We've got leaderboards and player stats, and it shows all your accuracy with different weapons and various other things about how you gathered. And we got leaderboards for gambling and gathering and PvE and raiding and PvP and all this stuff. And it's really coming along nice. We're looking to have the initial beta launch of that go live sometime late October, early November is the current plan. And then what we're going to do is we're going to launch with a base version and then build on top of it as time goes on and give special features to our VIP customers as well and things like that. So, really stoked about the stats and leaderboard system. Again, we're doing something completely custom, completely unique to anyone else in the space. And so that is why it's taken a little while to get ready. Nevertheless, I think people are really going to love it. And we're going to be able to retain data, it looks like indefinitely. We've got some really cool technology operating behind it. And it's really going to allow us not only to launch with something that is unique and really clean and responsive and live updating, but then be able to build on that over months to come to really create something that is totally standalone and you won't find anywhere else in Rust experience.
Is there any news about a better anti-cheat?
The anti-cheat stuff is still a work in progress. I know Facepunch and EAC are working together to improve it. On our end, we are every week working on improving our in-house anti-cheat and also working with a third-party anti-cheat solution, which is getting updates weekly. We're also bringing on new staff members. We've brought on in the past month a bunch of new server moderators to be able to review this stuff in a more responsive manner. But the fact of the matter is, hacking is still a big problem. Every day, I still see brand new accounts, first seen like 3 hours ago. The guy comes in and goes 20 and 0, kills to death. And clearly, it's a hacker. And EAC is not banning these guys as quickly and as consistently as we would like to see. When it comes down to it, the onus for getting rid of hackers is on EAC. That's literally what they were hired to do 10 years ago, and it's their only job, and they haven't done their job well enough to not require a whole bunch of manual intervention and third party support when it comes to running a server. I do hope that changes. We have seen improvements in the past month, and I know that Facepunch is prioritizing it in a way they haven't prioritized it before and working with EAC very consistently to improve upon it. And again, we did see some improvements, but it's a little, I'd say a little more than a drop in the bucket, but man, it's not enough to, again, not require. We have a whole bunch of individual staff on hand. We handle over 10,000 reports a month, and we ban hundreds of people a day still. And if that number could go down to like maybe 10 people banned a day, I'd say that we have to manually ban and everyone else is taken care of by EAC, I'd say, wow, we're in a really great position. But we're not there yet. I do hope and pray that we get there sometime soon. And I'm very, you know, happy that Facepunch has prioritized it in a way that they have. But I'm not going to say we're at a point where it's a solved problem. In fact, I still think it's the biggest problem to plague Rust. And next to that, I'd say optimization and performance is a biggie, maybe some balance. But really, when it comes down to it, if you look at the biggest problem in the game right now, it's still hacking and ineffective anti cheat. So, again, at Rustafied, we're working with some third party solutions and our own in house anti cheat solution. We've got some more ideas as we build out the stat system to improve that in house anti cheat and really are committed to removing hackers as quickly as we can from our servers. But it's still something that requires a lot more work than we have the resources to reliably handle just because we don't have the tools that EAC does. And we've got a limited tool set and finite resources. So we do our best. And I do want to thank everyone who reports players. Go to my.rustafied.com to report anyone in the server. We've got a really easy reporting process on the website. You can also do /report in game or on Discord. But I do recommend the website, again, my.rustafied.com, because that allows players to very easily select the players in the server that are cheating, provide and link evidence, and then take note of that report ID and feel free to go into Discord and be like, hey, I got a hot one here, and post the report ID in Discord. Please don't call players' names out in Discord because it will get deleted and that can hinder our investigation process. But if you post the report ID in Discord, we've got staff on pretty much 24/7 now that will look into it and get rid of these guys as soon as possible. And a huge thank you to all the players that have been consistently providing good reports and posting those report IDs in Discord.
Yeah, this is not a question, but I thought it was funny. Someone saying hacking is only a big problem on 5. So for one, I know that's not true because I play Rust, so it's everywhere.
Yeah, hacking is a big problem on any server with any sort of population. If you go to an empty server, yeah, you probably won't run into hackers. But Facepunch servers and all other official servers and all other popular servers are dealing with this issue. I know because I'm in communities where we talk about it. This is an issue across the game, and it's the biggest issue in the game right now. So ideally, we'll continue to see improvements. But to say it's a Rustified only issue is straight up stupid. So no.
Bullshit.
Yeah, sorry.
Is the world update coming out this update?
Yeah, the World Update is coming out in October. October 3rd is when it's slated to launch. It's currently all on the aux 2 branch, which is a different form of staging branch, but that is available to all to play. So if you want to check it out now, you can go to the staging branch on your Rust library, right click, go to Properties, Beta tab, and select aux 2 and run the update. And then you can join an aux2 server and run around and see all these new proc-gen features, including rivers, lakes, oases, the new toxic village, all that cool stuff. But it is all coming for the October 3rd update based on what we're seeing.
I think we do a recap.
Okay, cool. Let's do a little recapity cap here. Again, the October update is the big world update coming out. Biggest changes to procedural map generation. So that's 2 weeks from today, October 3rd. And we'll, of course, be on and live to cover it and let you know when the update goes live. On Aux 2 this week, we did see the high caliber revolver get added in. It is a new type of revolver. Originally in the commits, we were thinking maybe it would be a skin, but it's actually a new type of gun. At the moment, it has the same stats as the Python with the exception of a slower fire rate. It's a 6-shooter and uses pistol bullets. But I do think this is going to change just given it is called a high caliber revolver and the concept art showed it with 5.56 ammo. So I think the ammo type and the stats are likely to change prior to it going live, but it does look like it's going live with the update 2 weeks from today. We've also got some initial work on siege weapons. So there's a catapult being worked on, which is very interesting. Not likely coming in the October update, but it definitely looks like at some point in the future, we're going to have some more medieval types of weapons being added and raid tools being added. We've got radioactive items in the works. As part of the world update, there's radioactive water coming in. And with that, we saw a restructure to how radioactive water works this week in the commits. Specifically, it said in the commits, any item can now be radioactive. Now, we're not seeing this live in the game yet. Like I dropped my rock in radioactive water and it didn't turn radioactive. So I don't know if we're going to be dealing with radioactive AKs anytime soon, but it definitely is an interesting new dynamic to the game where you can contaminate other people's water sources. You can spray it on people to irradiate them and give them rad poisoning. You can spray it on crops to kill the crops, things like that. So, and radioactive water right now is found in the new Toxic Village, which is the new monument coming in with this update, with the world update. And that's a tier 2 monument, no puzzles, no NPC scientists at the moment. It does have some radiation in the buildings, especially. It's got a recycler and some cool opportunities for looting and things like that. We're also seeing progress on a new weapon, the Blowpipe. And this is going to be a kind of low tier, stealthy weapon from the looks of it. No visuals, no real details yet, but we are seeing progress in the commits on it this week, specifically around types of poison darts. It looks like by default it's going to use bone darts, but then there's going to be some poison darts, including incapacitating players' vision, slowing their movement, and even this week we saw initial work on radiation darts. So that's definitely going to be an interesting one, and we'll keep you posted. I don't think that's going live with the October update, but we'll let you know as things change. They're, of course, doing more work on the world update. And if you didn't see my article from last week, definitely go check it out because it's got a full summary and pictures and text of what is coming in the world update. There's new rivers, lakes, canyons, oases, the Toxic Village, updated uh, water wells and dive sites, and just a whole bunch of stuff. It's the biggest change to procedural map generation we've seen in years. Oh, there's also, it looks like the DPV, the Diver Propulsion Vehicle, is also coming in the world update. I forgot to mention that on the first run around, but that does look like a new vehicle is also coming in with this world update, and that's the DPV Diver Propulsion Vehicle. It's a single uh, player like propulsion unit to get through water quicker. Runs on low grade fuel, and you deploy it kind of like a boogie board. There's also work being done on the tier 1 SMG. That's another new weapon. So a bunch of new weapons in the works here. There's also the Blunderbuster, which that I think is going to be a skin to the double barrel shotgun, but not 100%. That might come with the Frontier Hazmat DLC. We'll keep you posted. But yeah, also a tier 1 SMG in the works. No visuals or details yet. We just saw the commits on that start recently, so we'll keep you posted as more comes to light. And also, they're doing a couple other changes, allowing blueprints to be learned directly from a backpack and preventing building around the Chinook hackable locked crate, which uses the same radius as the patrol helicopter crates. There's more work on the jungle ruins, which is a new monument and potentially new jungle biome in the works. There's more work on shields, which is going to be a new defensive device. There's more work on the wolf AI. Wolves in the near future are going to be much more dynamic and behave in packs and attack in packs and respond to torches and being able to jump up on foundations and all this stuff. So some big changes to wolf behavior coming in the near future. Don't think October update, but potentially November or December. They did also increase the wood yield of driftwood just earlier today, so that's going to be a nice little thing. They're doing improvements to elevator travel, and there's a whole bunch of bug fixes in the works. You can see the details under stuff on my article on rustafied.com today, but some ones of note, they fixed foundations not being placeable when in the middle of terrain or rocks, when rocks or terrain are clipping in the middle of it. So foundation placement should be a little easier. And yeah, a couple other wall placement things besides ramps working and fixed players getting wet from rain when inside tunnels and lockers not having durability. A couple cool miscellaneous fixes coming in, which is very commonplace for us to see in development throughout the month. But yeah, that about does it for the recapity cap. Again, the update's coming 2 weeks from today, October 3rd, normal time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. And of course, we'll be here same time, same place to give you a full rundown of not only what's coming in the update, but let you know exactly when the update is live. And yeah, do we have any other questions before we wind this puppy down?
We have one. What happened to the SKS?
That is officially in kind of concept limbo at the moment. It was going to be added as a skin for an old Hazmat DLC, and then it was apparently going to be its own standalone weapon, and then maybe it was going to be a skin again. And then there was talk that it doesn't really fit the vibe of Rust, which I don't really agree with because we've got a whole bunch of different types of weapons of all nature.
And
But
skin.
yeah, so I don't know. But at the moment, it's just kind of been in concept limbo for a couple months. No sign of it making its way in officially during any update. We'll keep you posted. We're keeping an eye on it. It is like in the game technically, but no sign of it actually making it into vanilla gameplay.
Also, I do see a ton of people saying happy anniversary for the partner.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for the happy anniversary well wishes. We just realized going live here, I saw the little hat there, and it turns out it's our anniversary of getting partnered. What is that, a 1 year or 2 year? I don't even know.
I think it's one.
Yeah, I think it might be one. But yeah, a huge thank you to everyone who follows us and who helped us get this partnership. It did take a little while because we only stream once a week, and they were looking for more than that. But we did eventually get it, and I really do appreciate everyone who helped us get there. And yeah, just with that, also just a reminder, we're not developers of the game. We're not on the Facepunch payroll. We're just an independent organization who loves reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. And the only way that we can do that week after week, month after month, literally, we've been doing this 10, 11 years now. The only way we've been able to do that is through the support of the community. So, really, to all of you who tune in and watch, people who give bits, whatever those are, people who subscribe on Twitch, and our wonderful, beautiful, loyal VIP customers, thank you all so very much for the support because we wouldn't be able to run the servers that we do and report on development news like we do without that support. So much love to you all. And I really do appreciate each and every one of you for that. And also, a huge thank you, as always, to Misty and Artemis for being my co MCs.
You're welcome, Bugs.
Yep, as always, you're welcome.
And yeah, and a shout out to the whole team at Rustafied. Again, we just brought on a bunch of new team members to help handle reports and get rid of hackers as quickly as we can. So a huge thank you to all of them, and a shout out to Facepunch and the whole team there as well, because this update is going to be a huge one, and it's the biggest change we've seen to ProcGen in years. And it really is just a reflection of the team's love and commitment to this game now over 10 years running. And really, this game is such a unicorn because you just don't see that in other games. Rust is really special in that facet, and it's special because of the individuals at Facepunch who keep making it special and working on it week after week, year after year. And so, thank you to the whole team at Facepunch for all the hard work that you do. Really stoked about this October 3rd update. So, definitely stay tuned for that. And we'll be back next live. Or, geez, watch my words there. We'll be back next week live again to show you more updates about what's coming in the update. And then the following week is our update stream where we'll show you everything coming in the update, answer your questions, and let you know exactly when the update goes live. And again, mark your calendars and keep an eye out. October 12th, Charitable Rust 2024. Going to be an awesome event, raising funds for a great cause. And so definitely plan on being there because there's some great prizes to win, skin drops, skins on the item store, and a bunch of other awesome stuff going on. So I look forward to seeing you all there. And with that, we're going to wind this puppy down. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs, signing off.